Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Luton's Deadpool podcast! Hello everybody, welcome to Luton's Deadpool podcast today with myself, Luton's Deadpool, and the amazing Leela, who I've met recently, who works for the Groundswell Project in Luton. They've just started one up. And Leela, we've been talking and it seems like there's a lot of crossover. So I thought, let's come meet Leela and we'll have a podcast. So here she is.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I should actually say thank you for having me because you invited me here.
Yeah.
It's this beautiful house. Oh my gosh, gorgeous here. Please tell people who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I'm Leela and I've just taken on the role of Community Connector for the Groundswell Project, which is a non-profit that is all about basically working against hate of all kinds. But the approach is quite different to, I think, what you'd expect when you hear the words anti-hate. That it's not all about it's not later down the line when there's already a threat and something that you might imagine the government doing is police and getting involved in stopping threats. It's a really collaborative approach to preventing hate way before it happens. So it's all about building tighter-knit communities that are really resilient, where everybody's working together and we're breaking down barriers that exist in terms of different races, religions, genders, ideas, all that kind of thing. So the project has been working in London, Manchester and Glasgow, and now we're just starting in Luton, and that's why I've taken on this role.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
Because I was born in Luton and lived in Luton for most of my childhood, moved away for a bit, and now I'm back. So now I'm working on this.
What's your experience of school?
To be honest, I don't have that great memories of school. But I don't think that's anything to do with the school, but a lot more to do with probably things that I really relate to you about, which is mental health and finding yourself and your sense of purpose and just finding happiness. I think that was something I found a lot later in life, which is why my background before coming onto the Groundswell Project is in personal training and life coaching. And I think I got into those things because growing up, I wasn't the happiest. I wasn't really clear on who I was, what I wanted, how to deal with the things that life throws your way. So I'm very passionate now about finding that mental wellness alongside just the physical side of things.
Okay. Do you want to talk about some of the struggles you went through? Like, what was it?
Yeah.
It was that kind of burdened you?
Yeah, I think in secondary school, I went to a school which was primarily white, and I was one of the only, there was probably about 3 or 4 of us who were non-white. And I think I did feel that sense of being different and feeling like I wanted to be like everybody else. So I think there was a bit of an identity crisis of trying to change my maybe appearance, but also things like culturally want to fit in and maybe even shun some sides of my culture, which my background is Indian. So I think there was always a thing of feeling left out and feeling that I was different, which wasn't necessarily outwardly put onto me by other people, but it's more just that sense of if you look around you and you don't see people like you.
It's so true.
You'll just make that assumption.
Yeah.
So I think there was a bit of that, but I also think it's the everyday things that a lot of people experience, which is growing up. You learn at school how to do extreme maths and how to learn like the square root of something, but I don't think you necessarily learn how to manage your emotions.
Yeah.
How to...
Well, it's wild, isn't it? I mean, you think about what it's like. You get 30 plus kids into one room, and then across, might have 10 different classes across the year groups. So that's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And every one of them is going through one of the hardest times of your life because of the hormones and because of the societal pressures and the wanting to fit in. It's just, and it all comes all at the same time. And you have that, and like you say, you have a very kind of informal approach where it's just it's very focused on getting you passed in grades, but it's not really thinking about how to develop you as a person and to help you. there's a lot of great things that you learn whilst you're in school, forming friendships and going out and doing social things. But then, like you say, when it comes to the emotional side stuff, you don't really share that a lot with your friends when you're that age.
Exactly. And I'm a big believer in all things sort of psychology and how we become how we are as adults. And I think it's all through the subconscious influences, and we learn to maybe, be like everyone else, and that you fit in if you're similar to those on the playground, or if you maybe are quiet and good, then you don't get in trouble. And all these things that are meant to be for our benefit, I think they also influence how you become as a person and the personality you develop. And I think that I was really stuck in that way of, this is how I'm meant to be, rather than who am I actually as a person.
Yeah.
And I think for most people, you're not going to learn that as a child. You learn that as you get older and as you go out in the world as an adult. But for me, that's when I started to really find a sense of purpose and happiness, is when I was an adult and I was free to go and figure out who I am and what I like. And a big part of what makes me happy is self-development and understanding why we are the way we are as humans and how we can achieve what we want.
So that's exactly like the kind of path that I feel like I'm on at the moment, and many other people are. I think there's definitely a resurgence of trying to break away from being part of the group to then try and find yourself and see what it is that makes you tick. And I had that kind of spiritual awakening, I guess, back when I was. No, I'm not going to reveal my age like how you revealed your location. But, when I was a certain age, like I don't know, probably almost 10 years ago now, I realised that I was living in a particular way that wasn't satisfying, and there was a lot of things I denied myself. Like you say about growing up with being one of the very few brown kids in the classroom. Again, I'm not going to reveal my race or anything. I had a very particular upbringing. I'm mixed race, and I grew up in a white family, so I can totally relate to feeling odd one out. But also something that I think is coupled quite close to this is it's going to sound like such a weird thing, but like I'm a massive nerd, right? And when I was in school, if you was a nerd, if you was into comic books, if you was into anything like that, gaming, whatever, you'd get bullied for it, just simple as. Whereas like nowadays, it's actually quite cool to be a nerd, and I almost envy the kids growing up now that get to express themselves like that. And again, like with culture, if you relate it back to your experience, growing up now, people are so much more not like you wasn't proud of your culture, but people are more openly proud of their cultures now because it's more accepted. Whereas back then it was like, very stigmatized to show your colors. So I can definitely relate to how hard it would have been for you growing up, and I'm glad that you got to a certain point where you start to realize yourself. And so you talk about self-development and stuff. What is your like real interest at the moment? Like, what are you looking at that, because obviously what you do is you're what you work in, you're trying to help a lot of people, but what is it that's your main focus and interest?
So for the last almost 10 years, I've been running a business called Get Up and Grow Girl, which is a holistic manifestation platform for women. So it's basically, the word manifestation to me means to create something. And so it's to create what they want in their lives, whether that's the first thing that we probably both relate to is having a good relationship with yourself, knowing who you are, liking yourself and actually being confident to be who you are. And then from there, that's the foundation. You can go and create anything you want, whether that's your dream job, improve your financial situation, a lot to do with relationships and finding a relationship that's healthy for you and that's going to fulfill you. And then also what you want for your community. So I've been working very much on the individual level with people, the background in, as I say, life coaching, but a lot to do with like neuroscience, the brain, and how we can work with that, and then the body stuff as well from my personal training background. So then now I've recently come back to Luton, and working with Groundswell, what I want to do is help more of on a community aspect. So rather than just working with an individual who's trying to change their own life, it's what I love about it is it's more about, okay, now as individuals, can we all come together and improve our town and our community? So it's a lot more working with people like yourself, but also organizations, grassroots, charities. And it's the idea that if we can all work together, share resources, share skills, when we put on events, if we can all come together and we can amplify those events, then as a community, we're more resilient to anything that's going on that might cause division.
Yeah.
Which, without going too much into, we've had obviously some unrest in parts of the country at this time that we're filming this. And I think my perspective on it, I would love to know what you think, but is that Luton has handled it really quite well.
100%. Yeah,
because we're so tight knit and everybody is, we are diverse as a town. And I feel like everybody's really well connected. So it's been quite hard for that to infiltrate here.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen recently there was a little bit of a hoax that was going around last week, if you remember.
I saw that, yeah.
So yeah, I think it was Wednesday, there was apparently going to be a staged protest in the town centre, and it was going to be the far right guys were going to come in and they were going to protest, and you know, with what's been going on around the country, I think there was a lot of fear that it was going to turn into a riot. And Luton has such a heavy Muslim population that there was, for me, as soon as I read that, I was terrified.
Yeah,
I was absolutely terrified because I knew that there's a strong Muslim group in Luton, and there's also, you know, there's not much. I mean, there used to be a lot of far right stuff in Luton with the EDL, but I mean, EDL doesn't exist anymore. So when people were saying that the EDL were coming, I was like, they don't really exist anymore. So I don't know what you're talking about. But there was still the fear there that because I was there, I remember when the EDL clashed with the anti-fascist people years and years ago. I can't remember when that was. Things like 2011, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was living in town at the time.
Wow.
And I remember the police telling me to go back into my house. I was having a cigarette outside, and police told me to go back into my house because there was these EDL guys coming up the road. And I went back into my house, and I just sat watched from the window, and I saw they came up the road. They were smashing cars. Like,
oh my God.
It was crazy. It was crazy. Then I saw scenes that were happening in town, and I remember all of that stuff. And now it feels like it's more amplified around the country. So my fear was really, really high. But, you know, the thing is, there's a lot of fear mongering going on at the moment, and trying to get people to be divisive.
Yeah.
And it doesn't affect places like Luton because, as you say, we're so tightly knit. I couldn't imagine any of my white friends turning on any of my brown friends.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, we've grown up together. We, you know, we all do charity stuff together. We, you know, everybody donates to the same food bank. We all help the same communities in this town, and we play football together. We go to social events together. Like, if you just look across Luton at all the different events that are happening across the town, it's full of different colours. It's all represented. You know, we speak one of the highest amounts of languages in this country. So it goes to show that actually where the fear is coming from about immigration, about people coming over here, maybe it's not quite what the media is telling you that it is. Because when you've got a place like Luton, you'd expect it to be the worst.
Yeah.
And it's actually been the best.
Yeah, I thought so too. And it's, as you say, it's always scary when that was going around and everyone was saying, oh, this might happen. I got scared too, and still was thinking, oh no, is it going to happen? Because you never know, and it's so unpredictable. But deep down, I kind of had a feeling that, like, I just don't think Luton is the place where that can thrive.
Yeah.
And I think that is exactly what Groundswell stands for. Is it's like, the idea is resilient communities that are tight knit, and I think Luton is a community like that, that's getting more like that all the time.
So I mean, if I ask you then, in terms of Groundswell, like, what's the plan? Because you guys are quite new coming into here.
Yeah.
So what's the plan? Like, what do you want to, like, how are you going to achieve this? Like, what people are you looking for to get involved? Like, what's the vision?
So the way that it works is we've got our founder and our team, which is a small growing team. And then the community connectors, which is the role that I am, we just have one per each of those cities. So I'm working very much here independently, but not because I'm getting involved with everyone and wanting to. So my colleagues in my community will be people like you, people who are doing great things, and I want to assist people like you and, you know, work together and amplify what you're doing and what other charities and organizations are doing, because the idea is that I don't need to come in and reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
And in every town that they've done this in before, so I think they've been doing it for about 2 years in each of those cities. We don't, the connector is not somebody who comes into that town and says, this is what we're going to do. They're already there. They live there. They've grown up there, at least. They're part of the community, and they just want to support the efforts that are already going on and make them even bigger by being able to either connect people together, who, for example, it's like the real under the radar guys, like the people that have just been like, you know what, let's set this up. They might not be a huge name, a big established charity that's all over the world, but they're somebody in the community who's got really good ideas and really good things that they can offer.
Yeah.
So they'll start something up, and then you might be able to connect them with the council or with the police or with somebody on the other side of the town who's doing something amazing also. So the job is kind of three-tiered. It's find, connect, and amplify. So figure out what's going on and all these things that are going on, because in Luton I've found that there's so much going on, so much good stuff.
It's crazy.
So a lot, and Luton's really great in that people work together and they kind of know each other a lot and really well connected. So it's finding anyone who needs to be connected with somebody, doing that, and then amplifying the work that they're doing. So that's the bit that I'm finding in Luton, is that I'm able to help the most on, because everybody's quite good at connecting. I think we're a town that everybody works together really well. So what I'm doing is seeing what these organizations are doing and being like, what's your gaps? What are you thinking? Oh, I wish we had some more budget for this, or I wish that we could get access to this or do this. And then I'll just come in with my own personal background and my own skills and see if I can help.
Oh, interesting.
So, for example, a lot of my work's been obviously in the wellness background, but also social media is the main platform I use to run my business. And I come from a marketing background in terms of uni. So I've been helping some of the charities and organizations just leverage their social media to reach even more people, because they've already got amazing work. They're already helping loads of people on the ground, but sometimes they're so busy.
The social just gets left. I'm guilty of it. I'm massively guilty. I've only just on Friday, I decided I'm sorting the social media out because do you know what? I've been having too much fun just running around like a big red fool. That I've just completely forgotten to really advertise the thing that I do. Like, luckily, you know, I'm getting a lot of traffic through my website and people contacting me to get involved and stuff. But you know, there's so much more that you can do with it. And I'm very, very early on my journey in learning about how to use socials, but you know, you can. There is definite ways to make it work for you, without a doubt.
But the important bit that you're doing is being on the ground, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I would say social media is important, but you're making an impact probably even more because you're there doing the thing. And that's what Groundswell is about. It's called Groundswell because it's about the idea that the people who are doing the thing on the ground sometimes are achieving the most. And sometimes they're the ones that don't always have access to the huge funding pots and the big opportunities or the connection to that other organization or statutory body or whatever they might need. So it's like we want to support those people and those organizations because they really know what's going on. And when it comes to tight-knit communities and everyone working together, those are the people who are really doing most of that work.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, just to talk about how well connected Luton is, I mean, you said it multiple times and you're not wrong. There's this thing, I don't know if you've ever heard this thing called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Where, in terms of how connected everyone is.
So it's like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon is you are 6 people away at any one time of knowing Kevin Bacon.
That is so crazy. I want to know mine.
There is a website of where you can go, and I can't remember what it's called. I remember it was an old thing back in the day, and it was like it would show you ways that you could be connected to Kevin Bacon, and it was really
Kevin
interesting.
Bacon. That's
I don't know. I guess that it's kind of like saying that in terms of like celebrities, there are connections up to them sort of people. But you know, with Luton, I always say it's 2 degrees of Luton because you are 2 people away from knowing every single person in Luton town.
Yeah,
that's how I feel. I mean, you know, the amount of times that I've just been talking to somebody, and then they'll say, "Oh, do you know so and so?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, actually, I do know that." And then we now connected, and now I know that person. And the network just grows. It is crazy. And everybody in Luton has that mentality of we want to know each other. We want to be like neighbours on the same road.
Yeah.
Like how it used to be. And I think there's a lot of nostalgia around that, what keeps it going.
Yeah.
So especially now when it comes to business, that's how people operate their businesses in Luton. It's on that whole basis of you're buying the person, not the business.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that in Luton, there's not a better place for it because you can really find out whether someone is worth it or if they're not because everybody's going to know who that person is.
That is so true. I've been in this role for 3 weeks. So it's still quite new and I'm still just getting reconnected. But I found that to be so true in just 3 weeks that I would say something. I think I had a meeting on Friday and I was chatting away and I was saying, oh, I've seen this person on social media and I'd really like to meet them. And someone's like, oh, yep, done. And I know that person. Yeah, I know that person. Everybody knows everybody and everybody's really willing to be connected also.
Yeah.
So I wasn't finding that it was, sometimes I think I lived in London for a bit when I was studying, when I was at uni and then working. And it's a different culture, you know. It's like people are strange. Everyone's a stranger.
It's spamming culture.
Yeah.
That's what it is. In Luton, in places what are tight knit communities, you find that it's a sharing culture.
Yeah.
Like we want. It's I keep saying this at the moment. I don't think I've said it on the podcast, so I think I'm okay to say it again. But it's my favourite analogy of anything at the moment.
Let me hear it.
It's crabs in a bucket, right? Do you know the analogy of crabs in a bucket?
No, tell me.
So imagine we're all crabs in a bucket, right?
Yeah.
Now, the crabs in the bucket want to get out of the bucket, right? So they're all trying to climb up, but what each crab does is because they're so desperate to get out of the bucket, they pull the crab down to get out of the bucket, and then they all just end up stuck in the bucket for eternity because every time one goes high, someone pulls them down.
Yeah.
And in Luton, that's not the mentality. We lift one up, and then they lift the rest out.
Yes.
And that's the mentality we have here. Whereas, like you say, in places that are a bit more cold and brutal like London, it is a famine mentality where it's like, you know, I've got to eat to survive, you know, kill to survive. Like, and it's the worst mentality that you can have. And I think that does come when you're in like quite large population cities where you know, you lose the individuals and the communities kind of disappear with them.
Yeah.
So this is very important for me for why Luton works so well. But I'm glad that you're finding it as well.
Yeah, I mean, in manifestation, which is obviously what my business, my online business is about, it's this mindset of, we have these two ideas, that it's scarcity or abundance. And scarcity is exactly what you're describing with the crabs, that everyone's like, oh, there's not enough opportunities, or there's not enough money, or there's not enough, you know, jobs, or whatever it is. And so we're all going to fight because there's not enough. And then you've got abundance, which is there's enough for everybody. So not only will I know that I'll find what I want, but also I'll share, because I know if I see something come up, if there's a job, this is the mindset, I can say, oh, you should apply for this because I know there's enough for me and you. And if you succeed, it's not going to negatively affect me. It's going to positively affect me. And that's the law of the mindset of abundance versus scarcity. And as you said, the irony is when we're thinking that we have to compete, we actually pull like ourselves down too.
Yeah.
And we all suffer because we think that we have to hold on tight to whatever we can get. And then actually we usually don't get good things. Whereas when we all work together, we're creating good things for somebody else that has a knock-on effect on us, the community as a whole, and everybody wins, right?
Exactly. No, I couldn't agree more.
But it's sometimes so built in that this fear that we have to, you know, fight and work against it, compete basically.
Yeah.
Compete versus collaborate.
I love that.
I think halfway through my hair went on it, or it was...
Yeah, it was about halfway through, but I've just listened to the end when your hair's fully on it.
Okay,
and you was going like this a lot.
Oh no.
I didn't want to interrupt.
I could tell that you were like, something's going on. You can tell by the body language.
This is the problem. You know, like you're a content creator as well, right? You're very aware of how it all works. Yeah. And sometimes it can interfere with the thing that you're doing. There's so many times when I've been like, so I'm talking to somebody, and now I know how to set my cameras up so this doesn't happen anymore, because this used to happen all the time. I would set it up, forget to put do not disturb on, come sit down, and then I'd start talking, and then I'd lose podcasts sometimes. And there was one in particular where I was talking to this person, and there was actually a mirror opposite the camera so I could see. And we're talking, and I look over and I see that my screen's black. And I was like, oh no. And then they're still talking. I didn't want to interrupt the flow.
And
so
you can't make facial expressions.
I can't be like...
Because I could tell by your body language.
Yeah, they could probably tell... They could tell that something was off.
Yeah.
And then, when I got up, it turned out... Luckily, it was only 5 minutes that we'd lost.
That's good, yeah.
So, it's a stress, though. It is a stress.
So many factors to consider.
Yeah, because I don't know why you make content, but for me, you know, I'm doing it because I actually don't care if I get like hundreds of likes or thousands of views or whatever. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
the thing that matters to me is that I've had people come up to me and quote things that I've said in my podcast, which I can't actually, I can't remember it a lot of the time. Yeah, I have to go back and hear for myself. Did I actually say that? But then they've said this one thing that you said has changed something for me, or you introduced me to this voluntary thing. Or there's a guy who I'm working with at the moment, Spider-Man, right? You know my Spider-Man? So he said that through me, he found out about Luton Food Bank, and now he's taken the responsibility from me to go and work with Luton Food Bank. So, because I've got too many things. So now we make sure that we're still helping them, whereas I wasn't really able to as much, how busy I've become. I really hated myself for that, but now he's just taking it over, and it's because something that I said on a podcast at one point. And
also the whole collaboration thing is that
exactly.
You don't have to feel like, oh, I can't take this on because that will suffer, because you know that because we're working together, we can do that and this.
Exactly. So, you know, for me, that's why I do it, because I know in the back of my head that even if only one person watches my podcast, that one person could change their life.
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue. But why do you do what you do?
I think I always say it's like when it's your passion, you can't not do it. And that's what I found, is that I was working full-time in the gym as a personal trainer, freelancing, running my own business, and it struggled for a long time and finally started doing really well. And then COVID happened and we couldn't work, had to shut down gyms, weren't allowed to do any sessions. So overnight I lost like all of my business.
Oh my God.
After finally like climbing up and getting it. And then I found myself just straight away, like it wasn't even hard, to be honest, just starting my online business. And every day I'd create videos and content and write emails and blog posts and then I started doing even free calls every single morning. I would do free life coaching call during lockdown, because everyone was feeling like I wake up and I have no purpose and I don't know what to do. Yeah. So we'd get together, and it honestly was not hard for me to do that. And that's when I realized that I'm not just doing it for the money, because before I obviously knew that I enjoyed it, but there was a major thing, was this is my livelihood. And even when that got taken away, I still wanted to do it. And since then, honestly, I realized recently I never even really had time to stop and think, like, what is this, and like exactly how does it look in 10 years or 5 years? Like, I would often try and have those kind of conversations with myself, but it just happened naturally because it's what I enjoy. Posting to help people, creating content, as you say, to understand, like, how do I actually get past the things that are blocking, I say wounds, the limiting beliefs, the fears, my worries about if I'm good enough or not good enough. How do I get past all of that? And how do I create what I want? That's just something I'm so passionate about. And I don't think I could stop if I tried.
Yeah, no, I feel the exact same. Yeah. I feel the exact same. I mean, you know, I won't bore the people with my life story because I've bored them enough with it. But, you know, when I left work in 2019, I made a fatal mistake. I left my job. Well, I say fatal. It was the best mistake that I ever made, because I was really struggling with my mental health. It was getting so bad to the point where I couldn't work anymore. I had to stop. And I quit work in December 2019. And I was only going to take like maybe 6 months off. I had a really well-paying job. So I was like, I could take like quite a long time off if I want. So I was going to take a bit of time off, then start my own business. And then COVID hit a month later and just ruined everything. And I became a stay-at-home dad overnight for like, you know, first, I don't know, about a year of COVID. Wow. I was just back at home. But then during that time, friends got me involved with charity and fundraising and volunteering. And then I just sort of found myself. I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. I don't care for how much I earn anymore. I just want to help people. And if I can help people, you know, that will help my demons that I have. Yeah. And it's cured a ton of them. It does. It really does. Yeah, it's very liberating. I mean, I don't know about you, but volunteering for me, do you do much volunteering? Have you done?
Not really that much, I guess, until coming into this. I'm now going to loads more things and seeing that side of things a lot more, because before, everything that I did was really individual based. Yeah. And that's why this role felt really like a natural next step, in terms of, I love helping individuals. That is still a passion of mine, something I absolutely love. But I think that when you're just helping one individual, I believe in this ripple effect. Yeah. That it helps everybody that they know, and they become a more positive influence on everyone in their life, and then so on. But when you can help groups,
Yeah.
and especially the people who probably need the help the most,
Yeah.
because I was working a lot with people who would hire me as their coach, just like as an individual, like a business transaction. When you can help people who are coming to receive help and guidance at a point in their life where they might not want to pay for that, or they might not be able to pay for that, but they need the assistance more, I realize that you're making such a bigger impact in that person's life.
100%. 100%.
So this is something quite new to me, to go into not just working with, mostly it was women, one-to-one groups, that kind of thing. And if I did voluntary work, I've done lots of free events and free coaching and things, but it's always with this small demographic. That was my little world. And now I feel like I'm in such a bigger pond, if you know what I mean, of like so many more different, I'm getting to work with different types of people and different initiatives. And I feel like this is something that can make a bigger difference.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'll definitely, if you're up for doing a bit of volunteering, I can connect you to some really, really cool people.
Yeah, that would be great.
There's this guy, I'm going to give him a shout out actually, because he's amazing. His name's Kev. Mm-hmm. He runs this litter picking thing called ABCD in Luton.
Okay.
And he goes by the ABCD philosophy, right, which is asset-based community development. Okay. And I love it. I love the whole idea of it, because what it basically does is it says we're going to take the people that are there and we're going to use them to make the community better, right? So what he does is he comes along with litter picking equipment, mm-hmm. and he will get people to contact him for him to come down with this litter picking equipment, right? Okay. The people of that area. So he's got, oh my gosh, he's in every ward of Luton. He's overtaken Luton, and I really do mean that. He's such a well-known person, and the work that he's done, he deserves a whole trophy case full of awards for what he's done for people. But he's got all this equipment. He brings it to the people. The people go and clean up. He doesn't clean up. He just waits, right? Whilst the people go and clean up. He will get involved, obviously. He gets involved, but he's not supposed to. His role is to facilitate the stuff. Yeah. The people go and collect the stuff, bring the bags back to him. He's got a relationship with the council, so the council then come and take the rubbish away. And now you've just cleaned it up an area. And there's actual statistics that show when you reduce litter in an area, that crime goes down as well.
Really?
100%. You need to look into it. It's all to do with how we feel about our environment. Mm-hmm. And, if you walk around the place and it looks terrible, people aren't going to care as much. And maybe they're going to be more antisocial around that area. But if it looks nice, there's something about it looking nice where people don't act out as much.
Yeah. There's this whole thing in like the work that I do, is that your emotions are kind of the root of everything, because your emotions create your behaviors. It's all happening subconsciously. So you're not consciously, we think that we're like always consciously making our decisions, but 90% of it is coming from our subconscious, because everything takes energy, right? So our subconscious mind just saves energy by having habits and doing things sort of on autopilot. So your emotion is what decides that. So, like if you're in a bad mood, you might kind of like drag your heels around that day, or you might be a bit like, might be more lazy. You might not want to pick up your cup from your table and wash it up or whatever. It's like, if you woke up happy that day and energized, you probably would wash that cup. So that makes so much sense, that if people are in an environment that's clean, they probably feel happier, and then they're going to have more positive impact, and they're going to move in a way that they do good things that day and not
exactly. But I'll have to connect you to these people, because they do a great business meetup once a month. The last Tuesday of every month, they meet in Town Hall. This is to everybody out there. Anybody can come down and volunteer for this. It's incredible. But you go down to St George's Square. They meet up and they clean the town centre.
Is it the tidy session? Is it called the tidy session? Yeah, I did see that. Yeah. Posted about it, and I need to go down.
Have a look, because there's a lot of people there that I think you will naturally attract to, because they're of like mind. And do you know what? Just to talk about that, I mean, one of the things that I found, when I started doing my charity work and stuff, I felt really depressed about the world. I was really, really down. I was quite hopeless, actually. I actually was worried for my children, for what future they're going to grow up in, and I had a lot of concerns, and I didn't trust humanity. And as soon as I started doing charity work and started involving myself in different circles, all of a sudden the world opened up to me, and it made me see that there's actually a lot of beauty out here, and there's a lot of kindness and a lot of friendship and community. And all you need to do is be around those kind of people who are like-minded. So yeah, I mean, I would love to connect you with them. Like the food bank as well, they're amazing. Paul down there, he runs the warehouse where you can just go down. They do like 3 hour volunteer session where you'll go down again. There'll be different people from the community, loads of different like just regular volunteers, but then also business leaders come in to volunteer as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, you do like a 3 hour shift of picking and packing food for people. And do you know what? When you've packed a ton of bags and you know that each one represents a meal for somebody, it's like you
So
cannot
cool.
feel bad about yourself. You really can't. And that's why a big part of what I do with my men's group is I constantly offer volunteering to them because what it does for you and how it makes you feel, it's like jet fuel compared to petrol. Do you know what I mean? It makes you feel great rather than the little dopamine fixes that we go through all the time. This is a long-term thing that, you feel bad for a week, do some volunteering. I'm telling you, you won't feel bad again for a long time.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Yeah.
And when you're doing something that you can see it's helping someone, and I think that it can happen in so many ways, and that's what my life's taught me, is that I've done so many different things. So like personal training, helping someone with fitness, teaching them to do a pull-up is completely different from helping someone who's gone through like some sort of trauma, like a big breakup or a toxic relationship or a loss of job. It's completely different, but they get the same feeling from it. And then even now when I'm going into these charities and I'm helping someone with a social media page, it feels like that's quite a material thing. But when they've had an idea that was creative and then now they know how to post about it.
Yeah.
It's the same feeling, I think. And that's when I realized that it's not, before I thought, oh, fitness is my passion. No, like life coaching is my passion. No, social media. It's not about that. It's actually about the impact it's having.
Yeah, it's like how you utilize them skills, right? You've got a great skill set, and I mean, you could go off and make money in social media. You could make money being, just a life coach or just being a personal trainer. You could go and do that, and you can make a ton of cash because you're very likable. You talk really well, and you know what? That kind of just sells you altogether for your business. You could go out and become immensely successful doing that, but do you know what? Like where you're going to be immensely successful is in the people that you help and the communities that you structure and bond together. And I'm so excited. Since talking to you, I've told a load of people about you and just how excited I am about you coming here and this is what you want to do. And I tried to tell a ton of people about the event you've got on tomorrow as well. If you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so
sorry, I just kind of like, it was like I was going to keep talking.
You know that Spider-Man meme where all the Spider-Men are pointing at each other?
Oh yeah.
That's what that's like. Was like, you're going to talk to me.
Oh, don't. I actually had that situation happen. Sorry to get distracted. ADHD, I get distracted very, very easily. We had this exact same situation happen at Milton Keynes Comic Con recently where I was on stage. They just gave me the mic for the day, basically, and I was like kind of hosting, I guess, for parts of the day, which is really fun. And them guys are awesome as well. But as I'm on the stage, 2 other Deadpools came up on stage, and I got my guns out, and we done the whole Spider-Man. It was amazing.
Do you have a clip of that?
I think so. There's something somewhere online. I don't know. I'll have to find it. I don't think we ever posted it actually, but yeah, because I've got there's so much stuff that I don't post.
Yeah, you must have endless footage.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, so the event, so it's tomorrow night, which is Tuesday the 13th of August at 6 p.m. at Marsh House. And the aim is to come together, different people, different groups, different backgrounds, different ideas. There's no sort of line on you have to be this type of person or you have to think this. Because what we want to do is bring people together to talk about unity versus division, how we can be a stronger knit community, which I do think Luton is doing very well. But beyond just Luton, also the ideas for the rest of the country, the rest of the world. How can we create more unity in a time where we've seen in recent weeks, social media is a great thing, but also can have a dark side in that it can feed you one viewpoint. Once you start watching one type of video and you like it, the algorithms like show them more of that.
Exactly.
And you just see only one view on life. Well, we've got that. We've got the news where everyone's like choosing their one news platform and getting that one perspective. Sometimes we can be, although we're so connected on social media, we can all live in our little own worlds with our own perspectives. And I think in times like what's happened recently where there's, terrible things happen in the world, it can divide us more if we're not aware of this and we don't choose to consciously come together. So what it is basically an open forum, open conversation where we want to hear everyone's different ideas about and feelings also about unity, community, and also, you know, where there is division and how we can hear each other out, even if we have different ideas, so that we can see we're all just human, we all want the same thing, we can learn from each other, we can learn, you know, different perspectives that we might not have seen, and ultimately, hopefully, leave feeling a lot more united.
Yeah, I think that that's exactly what's needed at this time, and something that I've been talking about for a really long time. I mean, I've been doing this for years now, right? And when I first started doing it, people would mock me for how much I spoke positively about Luton.
Really?
Oh, like crazy! Like,
about Luton.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If I was talking how great Luton is and how we are like where things are going to grow from, you know, people are going to be inspired by us, and people are going to have to look at themselves and see what's failing in their own cities and see that Luton's striving and thriving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have to adopt our policies and our procedures because we are so different to every other community around. There's communities around the UK that are similar, but I think we're really, really unique in how we are and how we're structured as a community. And my dream has always been that Luton will be like the template for the rest of the UK on this is how you make a structured but also very, very cohesive and fun community. Because we're more than anything, you know, I sound really boring when I say structured and, you know, and policy, but the truth is we're really fun in what we do. And I mean, proof in the pudding is coming up in September, which I hope you'll come into, which is Luton Comic Con.
Okay. You have to link me up with that one.
100%. Do you know what? Can I announce it? Yeah, screw it. I'll announce it here. So I've just recently become the co-chair of Luton Comic Con.
Oh my gosh!
So yes, you are more than welcome to come to Comic Con.
This was an exclusive.
This is exclusive. Yeah, I've been waiting to announce it, and screw it, I'll just announce it now.
So okay, so I definitely have a.
You are 100% coming to Comic Con. Yeah, because for me, what I found is that that was another community in Luton that was very underrepresented, and then the people that put in the Comic Con last year, they opened it up to these guys. Like the nerd community in Luton is a very, very forgotten about community that nobody knows about or cares about because they're like, nerds. Do you know what I mean? But the truth is, they have so much to offer in terms of art and culture and, you know,
creativity.
Yeah, you look at times in the past where things have changed and when there's been revolutions, right? A lot of it's come from art.
100%.
A ton of it's come from art. And I put these people right at the top of the list for the change that's going to come in this town because they create the content that we all watch, that we all want to see, right? We've actually got a comic book that's coming out at Luton Comic Con as well, which I've already talked about before, but that we've made, my company.
Really?
Yeah, and it's the first, I think it's the first ever Luton-based comic, as in that is about Luton, by people from Luton, and with a brand new superhero that's going to be announced in the comic book as well. Ooh. So it's going to be so cool. It's going to be so cool.
You know, my fiance absolutely is obsessed with all things like Comic-Con, comics, maybe not. I don't know if he's been to a Comic-Con, but comics, anime, Marvel, all that.
Oh, he's got to come.
Obsessed. But he's abroad at the minute, but he will be so jealous if I'm going to Comic-Con.
Oh, is he not going to be here for it?
Yeah.
No. Oh, got it.
So
got
the
it.
next one, hopefully.
Yeah, the next one. The next one's going to be even bigger and better as well. You know, last year they expected about 200 people to turn up and like 600-700 people turned up.
What?
This year they're expecting probably like 1,000 people to turn up. But, you know, with the way that they've been going on.
Where is it? Where is it?
Hightown Community Centre.
Big enough?
It should be big enough, yeah. Should be big enough. They've got an after party as well. What's going to be called, and this wasn't my decision, but it's going to be called Deadpool's Disco.
I saw that on your page.
Yeah, licensed bar. There's going to be like all people dressed up and dancing their butts off. It's going to be awesome.
I need to figure out who I'm going to be dressed as.
There's so many people. There's so many cool characters you can be. But yeah, no. Sorry, I got distracted again. Back to your event. What's happening tomorrow? Can you name some of the people that's going to be on the panel tomorrow?
Yes. So yourself. We've got Tariq from Inspire FM.
Love that guy.
And we've got Ryan Praiser, who is working.
Oh, yep. I know Ryan, yeah.
Yeah. He's worked a lot in events that are about uniting. So it's like stand up to racism and he's on music against racism and lots of things like that. So, but the aim is that we want you guys who are, you know, people that in the community have a lot, they know what's going on, you've got a lot of insight, you've got really good ideas. to kick things off, but we want everyone to get involved. Don't want everyone to be sitting and just listening, but to be, communicating and sharing what they think. So we want to hear everyone's different views and everyone to kind of learn from each other. So so there's going to be really loads of other people who might not know yet, but you will learn from after.
Awesome. I mean, hopefully I will try my best to get this out today or tomorrow morning, because then I'll put the link to where people can get a ticket and stuff, because it's free as well.
Yeah, completely free
To enter. So
and there will be refreshments.
Oh, want some refreshments now from
Cakes.
Leela. They're going to be tasty. I can tell you now. I can imagine. I know. Is it biscuits and juice?
Yeah, I mean, and some sponges, maybe some cakes, coffee.
That's great. I'm down. I mean, I can't.
I need insight on what snacks people want.
To be honest with you, anything that I can slip up my mask is great.
Yeah. What is that? Like
there's not many
chocolate straw?
They like yum yums.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I do like a yum yum. As you can tell,
mask-friendly treats, especially for you.
To be honest with you, I have a straw that's in the suit.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That comes out of here and goes straight in.
I think you should get that for tomorrow.
I should, shouldn't I? I'm actually planning on getting a super stupidly long straw that can go all throughout every part of the suit because it acts like a cooling system as well.
Okay.
It's great. It feels so great.
Blow cold air into it. Attach it to a fan or something. You're gonna need it.
Oh, trust me. I'm dead. I can't wait to get this thing off my face.
Yeah.
But right, no, honestly, this has been really fun. You've been awesome. I'm really glad. When we had our meeting recently, it was really cool to talk to you and see all the connections that we have that we can make together, and not just that, the amount of the same ideas that we have about how to push this thing forward, and knowing that, when I started out, I was on my own in this fight, and as things have grown, it's like there's an army forming of us. And we are going to take over, and nobody has a choice about it. And I'm not saying that in a violent way because of what's been going on lately. I should probably rephrase my words.
Yeah.
I should have rephrased that. No, what I mean is we're a peace army. We're coming in, and we're going to show you people that this is how we support each other, and this is how we grow communities, and this is how we change the world. Because I know it sounds lofty, but that's what I want to do.
I'm fully on board with that. Like, almost delusional, but in a way that it becomes true because you think that you can make a difference. You actually do.
There you go.
That's what I think.
I think that's perfect to end on. No, thank you very much, Leela. You've been the best.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for having me. This is your place.
Oh yeah. You're welcome.
All right, see you later, everyone. Love you, Luton.
Bye.
Great. That was really good.
I hope you're not
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Luton's Deadpool podcast.